Have you ever wondered what your life would look like if the person you've spent decades with, your spouse, partner, or dearest companion, suddenly passes on first, leaving you to confront the world on your own? It's a reality most married couples don't like to think about, but the truth is that outliving your spouse is more common than not, especially for older women. You might have glimpsed the possibility in fleeting moments when your partner grew ill, or when a close friend became widowed, and felt a cold sense of dread rush through you. In many marriages, daily routines and shared tasks become second nature. You rely on each other for emotional support, help with household chores, decision-making about finances, and 1,000 other intangible ways that shape everyday life. Then, one day, it's gone. The bed feels emptier at night, the future more uncertain, and you realize you now bear the weight of responsibilities you assumed you'd face together. For many seniors, this transition can feel overwhelming, as though a rug has been pulled out from under your feet. But there are specific steps you can take, 4 crucial moves that can help you not only survive, but eventually rediscover a sense of security, purpose, and maybe even happiness. Let's be clear, no list of tips can erase the grief. The emotional toll of losing a spouse is immeasurable and unique to each individual, shaped by the length of the marriage, the nature of the death, and your personal coping mechanisms. Yet, amid the mourning, certain practical and emotional tasks demand attention. People around you, children, extended family, neighbors, might offer well-meaning condolences and bits of advice, but ultimately, you're the one who has to redefine your life. The initial shock can leave you numb, so it's wise to plan ahead if you can, or at least keep these 4 pillars in mind when tragedy strikes. Even if you don't feel ready to tackle them immediately, understanding what's needed can guide you in those chaotic weeks and months following the loss. The first essential step is to get organized about finances and legal documents. This can be an emotionally challenging process, especially if your spouse managed most of the bills or official paperwork. Yet it's also vital. Bills don't stop arriving when your partner passes away, and certain time-sensitive tasks, like notifying government agencies or updating titles and deeds, can't be postponed indefinitely. Begin by gathering all available records, bank statements, insurance policies, retirement account information, and any legal documents like wills or trusts. If your spouse handled all the online passwords or kept certain statements in a separate drawer, you may feel like you're on a scavenger hunt. Try to remain calm, perhaps enlisting a trusted friend or family member to sit with you as you sift through stacks of paper or computer files. Sometimes you'll stumble upon statements that reveal unknown investments or accounts your spouse never mentioned. This can feel like a betrayal or a surprise, but keep in mind that older couples often have accounts or policies they set up years ago and then forgot to discuss in depth. You'll want to contact your spouse's employer if they were still working or receiving benefits, as well as the Social Security Administration if you're in the United States, or the equivalent agency in other countries. Survivor benefits may be available to you, and missing out on them because you're unaware can cause financial strain down the road. Additionally, check for life insurance policies or any pension plans that might pay out to the surviving spouse. If your spouse had outstanding debts, consult a lawyer or reputable financial advisor to see what you're actually responsible for, since laws differ by region regarding debts in a spouse's name. Avoid the temptation to make hasty financial decisions, like selling the house or giving large amounts of money to family, until you have a clearer understanding of your overall financial picture. In your grief, you might be more vulnerable to manipulative sales pitches or unscrupulous relatives. Consider placing a temporary hold on major transactions, but do keep up with routine bills, mortgage, utilities, insurance, to prevent penalties. In the best-case scenario, you and your spouse prepared for this scenario by discussing finances or setting up a joint approach. But even then, you might need to confirm which accounts have beneficiaries, which ones are joint, and how they transfer upon death. Getting a handle on these details not only calms immediate worries, but also sets a steadier foundation for the next phase of your life. The second crucial step is to assemble or lean on a supportive social network that can help you navigate everything from the early stages of grief to the eventual readjustment to single life. Loneliness is often cited as one of the biggest challenges for older adults who lose a spouse. The day-to-day companionship, The shared jokes over breakfast, the presence of someone who knows your habits intimately, these vanish in an instant. In the wake of that void, it's natural to pull inward, especially if you feel that others can't truly understand your pain. However, isolation can feed depression and slow your healing. Reaching out, even in small ways, can mitigate that risk. Maybe you join a bereavement group at a local community center or place of worship, where others share stories of their own losses. Though it might feel awkward or uncomfortable at first, such groups offer empathy and practical wisdom about coping. Alternatively, a close friend or neighbor might become your daily phone check-in partner, ensuring that you never go a day without a caring voice. If you have grown children, you might find them anxious to help, but be cautious about leaning too heavily on any one person, to the detriment of your sense of autonomy. Let them assist with chores or errands initially, but also challenge yourself to pick up new social activities. It could be as simple as taking an interest-based class or volunteering. The point isn't to minimize the memory of your spouse, but to prevent the slow drift into reclusiveness that can turn heartbreak into a chronic state of desolation. On an emotional level, therapy or grief counseling can be invaluable. It's no weakness to admit you need professional guidance to process complicated feelings, from guilt over arguments you never resolved, to anger at your spouse for leaving, even if it was due to an illness. Grief can manifest in waves, catching you off guard at random moments, like seeing your spouse's slippers by the bed or stumbling upon an old birthday card. In counseling, you learn tools to handle these emotional ambushes with some measure of composure. You might practice journaling, or you might find it helpful to create a small memorial ritual at home, such as lighting a candle each evening and speaking a few words aloud. The key is to ensure that you're not bottling up your grief, but rather giving it room to breathe so it doesn't fester. This second pillar of social and emotional support acts as a lifeline, enabling you to keep moving forward while honoring the past. The third critical step is to re-examine your daily routines and living arrangements, adjusting them to your new reality. Perhaps your spouse was the morning person who always made coffee, so now you find yourself skipping breakfast or rolling out of bed late, feeling purposeless. Or maybe you used to handle finances while your spouse took care of all the cooking, and now you're confronted with an empty fridge and no idea how to cook more than basic meals. If your spouse did the driving, you might realize you're now reliant on public transportation or a friend's kindness. These daily tasks can accumulate into a mountain of stress if you don't address them. The solution often lies in small, methodical steps. Start by listing out responsibilities your spouse had. Was it car maintenance, paying certain bills, cooking, yard work, or a hobby that kept part of the household running? Next to each item, note whether you can handle it on your own with a bit of learning, or if you need to delegate or hire help. This planning might feel bureaucratic, but it helps you avoid crisis moments where you discover, for instance, that your license tags are expired or the roof needed repair months ago. At the same time, evaluate whether your home environment still suits you. Some seniors stay put in a large house long after their spouse dies, only to find the upkeep overwhelming and the rooms eerily silent. Others consider downsizing to a simpler apartment or even moving closer to adult children. There is no universal right or wrong choice here. Some find comfort in maintaining the family home, cherishing memories within those walls, while others see the burdens as too heavy. If you do decide to relocate, be thoughtful. Rushing into a move in the immediate aftermath of grief can trigger regret if you choose a place without thoroughly considering your needs for community, healthcare access, or affordability. But ignoring the chance to simplify might be equally detrimental. The point is that your spouse's absence might reveal chores or complexities that are no longer feasible for you alone. Making proactive changes, like hiring a part-time housekeeper or moving to an over-55 community, can lighten the load, giving you space to heal and find new purposes. This third step, reworking your routine and environment, forms the practical backbone of your new life, so you're not living in a constant state of disorganization or emotional fatigue. Finally, the fourth crucial step is to redefine your sense of identity and future goals. When you've spent years or even decades with a spouse, your life story is interwoven with theirs. You might define yourself by a shared last name, shared hobbies, or the routine of certain vacations you always took together. Once that partner is gone, it can feel like you've been stripped of an essential piece of who you are. While the immediate impulse might be to fill that gap exactly as it was, the reality is that you're a different person now. Part of you is undeniably shaped by the life you lived together, but you still have your own unique path to follow. For some, this might be a time to revisit old passions that fell by the wayside, such as painting, writing, or playing a musical instrument. Maybe you used to love dancing in your youth, but married life meant you never had the chance. Now you can honor that spark by joining a dance class or a community group. Or perhaps you realize you want to travel to places you and your spouse never got around to visiting. That doesn't mean you're dishonoring their memory. It can actually be a tribute, continuing a life of discovery that they would have supported. In many ways, forging a new identity without your spouse's physical presence involves a paradox. You want to carry the love and lessons of your marriage forward, but also make room for growth that you alone will undertake. This might involve journaling about your spouse or creating a memory book that allows you to preserve their place in your life story while gently expanding your own horizons. Some seniors find it meaningful to volunteer in an area their spouse cared about, whether it's an animal shelter, a literacy program, or a local church, as a means of carrying forward their shared legacy in a positive, outward-facing way. Others might explore continuing education classes to keep the mind active and the heart engaged. The possibilities are broad, but the underlying principle is not to let the shadows of grief prevent you from living. If your spouse loved you, they likely would want you to keep blossoming, even in their absence. These 4 pillars: sorting out finances and documents, cultivating social and emotional support, reorganizing day-to-day life, and rediscovering your own identity. Don't form a neat linear path, instead they're interwoven. You might handle some financial tasks while also joining a grief support group. As you explore your identity in new ways, you might circle back to adjust your living situation or clarify your future budget. This is normal. The journey of widowhood rarely follows a perfect checklist. The important thing is to keep these main anchors in your awareness so that you're not avoiding essential responsibilities or letting fear and isolation paralyze you. Grief can be exhausting, and you deserve the kindness of a step-by-step approach, letting each change settle before you move on to the next. A frequent question arises: when do I let go of my spouse's belongings or the routines we shared? The simple answer is that there's no universal timeline. Some people feel a sense of relief when they carefully donate or redistribute clothes and personal items a few months after the funeral, while others hold on to them for a year or more. The key is to ask whether these objects are comforting or whether they're keeping you stuck in the past. If you find that seeing your spouse's clothing daily triggers an overwhelming grief that disrupts your healing, it might be time to make thoughtful decisions about what to keep for sentimental value and what to let go of. Similarly, if a daily tradition like cooking their favorite meal is fueling sorrow rather than comforting you, consider pausing it until you've had time to process. Let your emotional reaction be your guide, without rushing to conform to external expectations or well-meaning pressure from family members. You might also wonder if there's a set time frame in which these steps must occur. Realistically, it could take months just to manage the finances and paperwork thoroughly. Emotional healing doesn't happen overnight, and forging a new identity can be an evolving process that spans years. The mere act of acknowledging these tasks can help you feel less overwhelmed, though. Many widows and widowers describe feeling adrift until they realize there's a structure for dealing with what's happened. Even if you move slowly, doing one piece at a time, like calling the Social Security office, then another day focusing on your spouse's old phone or utility accounts, can lessen the mental load. The grief will ebb and flow, but at least you won't drown in a sea of undone tasks. It's also worth noting that your physical health is vulnerable during this period of heightened stress. Grief can affect your appetite, disrupt sleep, and weaken your immune response. Don't ignore recurring headaches, sudden weight changes, or episodes of insomnia. Keeping up with regular doctor appointments, even if they feel like a burden, ensures you're not neglecting essential health checks. If you discover your blood pressure has spiked or your blood sugar levels are off, stress might be the culprit. A balanced approach, some mild exercise like walking or gentle yoga, Healthy meals, even if you cook for one, and enough rest can stabilize your body, giving you the strength to deal with emotional and practical hurdles. Some seniors find that adopting a pet, if it fits their lifestyle, brings emotional warmth and a reason to stay active. Ultimately, you might not realize your own resilience until you pass through these trials and see how far you've come. Yes, losing a spouse can feel like losing a part of yourself, but it can also open up channels of inner strength you didn't know you had. The love you shared doesn't vanish. It can be transmuted into acts of kindness toward yourself and others, fueling personal growth. Holding on to that love while accepting your new stage of life requires both courage and compassion. Courage to face the unfamiliar, and compassion to forgive yourself for the inevitable missteps. If you're reading this before any tragedy has struck, discussing some of these details with your spouse now can alleviate future confusion. Though it's an uncomfortable conversation, understanding each other's wishes about finances, living arrangements, even funeral preferences, can save enormous heartache. But if it's already happened, if you're now on the other side of that terrible day, remind yourself that these steps exist to guide you forward, not to push you beyond your grief too quickly, but to ensure you don't remain stuck, letting sadness define your every moment. Over time, the pain may not vanish, but it can become interwoven into a life that still offers meaning, companionship, and maybe happiness. That's the essence of survival when a spouse dies first. You survive not only by handling the bills and rewriting your schedule, but by rediscovering who you are as an individual, capable of love, joy, and growth, even in a world that's irreversibly changed. In the end, the greatest testament to the relationship you had might be to live fully, carrying forward whatever lessons and love your spouse imparted, while forging a path that honors your own identity. These 4 steps, managing practical finances and documents, seeking emotional support, reorganizing your daily life, and reshaping your personal goals, can keep you from sinking under the weight of loss. They allow you to channel sorrow into self-care and forward momentum. Every day won't be easy, but day by day, you'll craft a life that, though different, can still be rich with moments of connection, purpose, and even joy. If your spouse truly cherished you, they'd likely want nothing less. So whether you're just beginning this journey or supporting someone else through it, remember these guiding principles. Surviving and eventually thriving may feel daunting, but you have within you the resilience to make it happen. It's a testament to the enduring power of love and the human spirit that, despite heartbreak, can discover new forms of happiness and meaning in the chapters yet to be written.